This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Welcome in. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Wednesday night, right into your Thursday morning here on the program. We're going to get to it all this hour. A couple of play-in games in the NBA. A lot of midweek baseball to get to. Back in the win column on the Diamond. It was a painful start to the week, but 2-0 on the Diamond Wednesday. 1-1 for a marginal slight plus money win on the hardwood. All in all, a 3-1 day. Sign me up. Let's keep it rolling as the week moves on. Went 1-1 in that Heat game. Bam couldn't get us to 20 points. We needed 20 plus even money. DraftKings did go Heat money line plus $1.05. Cash that out. Never in doubt. How about the way Miami went wire to wire on the Chicago Bulls? A Bulls team that was 3-0 in the regular season against the Miami Heat. Meant nothing. Playoffs, Spoelstra, Bam, Hero. How you doing? Hero played Hero. 38 points for the former sixth man, turned focal point of that offense in the post-Jimmy era. Sensational performance out of Tyler Hero. Bam, even though he didn't get us our 20 that we needed, added on 15 and 12. How about Andrew Wiggins? I feel like he gets kind of forgotten about. Got shipped over there in the Jimmy deal from the Warriors. 20 points, 9 boards for the former number 1 overall pick. Davion Mitchell, fantastic, off the bench. 15 points, 9 assists. He single-handedly outscored the Bulls bench. Chicago's bench, 13 points. Mitchell, 15. The bench for Miami, 28 total. On the Bulls side, Kobe White goes under his number, 17 points. Josh Giddey, their leading scorer, 25 points, 10 boards as well. Vucevic, also a double-double, 16 and 12, although Adebayo did keep him at bay, it felt like. Vucevic had the numbers, but it did feel like Bam took him out from playing a meaningful part in this contest. I mean, the Heat, like I said, they went wire to wire. Up 11 after the first, up 24 at halftime. Chicago cut back into it a little bit in the third quarter. Heat led by 14 going into the fourth, immediately answered back. Not so much offensively. It was a low-scoring second half. Second half as a whole, Chicago actually outscored Miami 43-38. But the Heat, while offensively, I mean, my goodness, they had 38 points in the second half. They had 39 in the first quarter. While offensively, they didn't keep it going. Defensively, they never let up. Miami scored 30 plus each of the first 2 quarters. Chicago didn't score 30 in a single quarter all game long. Hence the 109-90 final. Stays under, well under, the posted total. I mean, this thing didn't even crack 200. Total's 220. Lived there at 199. Heat win, Heat cover. Heat catching a point Friday against the Hawks. And I like the Heat in that one as well. Give me Eric Spoelstra as a road dog of a point 8 days a week in a play-in format. My goodness. They were 1-point dogs yesterday on Cashing Out. Got up to 2. Now they're 1-point dogs against Atlanta. I hope they get up to 2 again. Just give me a better money line price. Seeing money line prices ranging from minus 105 here at Circa, minus 102 at DraftKings. How about FanDuel and Boyd plus $1.08? That's where I'm going. I'm not worried about the point. Now, you can also at FanDuel and Boyd get them plus 1.5 if you want to play it safe. I'd rather go alt line and take the Heat minus 5.5 against the Hawks than take them plus 1.5. I wonder if we can get an alt line on this. Might be too early. I think Miami minus 4.5, minus 5.5. If you're getting something like 3-1 on that, plus 250, I think that'd be a great bet. Lay some points with the Heat. I just look at the way that they defend, and Atlanta lacks defense. Dyson Daniels, now it's funny, the Hawks have one of the best defensive players in the league, but as a team, they lack defense. Trae Young, Daniels' backcourt mate, a walking liability on defense. Daniels has to play defense for 2 guards in that Atlanta team. I mean, even if Daniels somewhat slows Hero down and Hero gives us, a 15, 20-point performance, who's slowing down Bam? Who's slowing down Wiggins? Davion Mitchell had a great game. Sign me up for the Heat to win. This is the kind of environment, these are the kind of games where Eric Spoelstra and company thrive, even without Jimmy. And we all know the deal with playoff Jimmy. But playoff Bam is a real thing. Tyler Hero has fully embraced being the hero of this offense, being the focal point of this offense. I like Miami a lot in this game. And on the Dallas side of things, Mavericks coming off just a thrashing in Sacramento, 120-106. Mavs over the Kings. Now they're catching 6.5 at Memphis. We've already seen early movement total down a half a tick. I'm wondering if that total is going to come down more. That was the storyline in terms of line movement and odds in the Mavericks-Kings game, was the total opening at 223.5 and closing 10 points lower at 213.5. You heard Scott Seidenberg on VSiN Primetime before I took your airwaves. He was on the over, 213.5. Couldn't pass it when it dropped. How about the fact that whether you got the closing number or the opening number, you cashed out no matter what? Whether it was 213.5 or 223.5, you cashed out every which way. How do you like that? Mavs, Grizz. That total, 222, down a half a tick. Not quite 10 points of movement, but down from 222.5 where it opened. Grizzlies laying 6 and a hook. Guts telling me take the points, take the over. I'm not as convicted on this game as I am on taking Miami against Atlanta. But I'm leaning towards, I like the over in this one actually, I think more than a side. So this is twofold. First off, I got more out of Dallas's offense against Sacramento than I expected. That impressed me. Then you factor in that the Mavericks offense impressed me, and Memphis defensively has been one of the worst teams in basketball post All-Star break. The Grizzlies defense since the All-Star break has stunk. So now you got a Mavericks offense that, better than I expected. Grizzlies defense that for 2 straight months has been garbage. And Memphis can score like none other, even though Dallas is a defensively oriented team now in this post-Luka era. Memphis can still score, and I think will still score. One thing I'm worried about is Ja Morant with that ankle. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I think Memphis, with or without Morant, can score. Morant's going to play. The question is, how effective will he be? With or without him at 100%, Memphis going to score. Desmond Bane, incredible. Jaren Jackson Jr., sensational. Zach Edey got in on the party with a double-double against Golden State. So the Grizzlies are going to score. The Mavericks showed us against Sacramento they're capable of scoring, and Memphis doesn't play a whole lot of defense. I think the over 222 is, at the moment, my favorite play in that game. Ja Morant's ankle worries me. You know, we saw him go down against Golden State, and valiant effort to hang in the game, come back out there. But I think, and I'm not taking anything away from what he did against Golden State, I think it's easier to play 5 minutes after rolling your ankle than it is 48 hours after rolling your ankle. I guess in this case, 72 hours with the game on Friday. That thing swells up. I think that a rolled ankle is more detrimental the next day, next 2 days, than it is 5-10 minutes after it happens. Now, look, it's the NBA. It's professional sports. You know they're going to shoot him up every which way with this, that, and the other thing. So I'm sure he's going to go out there. But I'm curious how impactful and how effective he'll actually be capable of being out on the court. I think Desmond Bane, because of that, might be a guy to look for in the prop market. And with some time and some space between games and, you know, the Mavericks-Kings result still being fairly fresh and not a whole lot of props being out there, we'll wait a bit before we fully dive in to what props maybe you can target in this one. But, you know, we've got point props out there already. Let's see where Desmond Bane's living. 21.5. That seems to be the over-under. That might be worth a play. Bane dropped 30, had 11 at the break, finished with 30 against Golden State. Morant's total's 25.5. I think you might want to look at Ja Morant under 25.5 and Desmond Bane over 21.5 in this one. There might be a direct correlation between those two, especially with the Morant ankle injury. Hey folks, Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions get approved. That means no usage fees, no minimums. It means you can earn cashback rewards and get 100% approval for all betting deposits. Who doesn't like 100% approval? I'm apartment hunting right now. I wish I could get 100% approval. Sign up today, edgeboost.bet. Use the promo code CASH. Deposit $25, Edge Boost will match it. That's edgeboost.bet. Zach Edey's point total coming in at 9.5. Now, big difference in the opponent here. Edey had a monster game against Golden State. I think I could play the 5 against Golden State. That's no exaggeration. That's what I used to play. When I played hoops, I was a 5, 6'4". You can be a 5 in high school at 6'4". In college, a white guy 6'4", get in the corner and shoot some threes. But Edey against Golden State, massive advantage. Edey against Dallas, I mean, the Mavericks have bigs on bigs on bigs, right? Anthony Davis, P.J. Washington, Derek Lively. How about Daniel Gafford? Guy continues to not get a lot of minutes, but play seemingly the most efficient minutes in the NBA. Only went 21 minutes in that win against Sacramento. Still managed to go over his points total. He was the guy we were looking at yesterday. I shied away because I'm worried about his minutes, but all he does when he's out there is produce. Speaking of producing, Wes Reynolds joining us up next to give out some winners. Wes's winners up next on Cashing Out.
These days, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries. And with that, we sent away good jobs and our capability to make things. American Giant is a clothing company that's pushing back against this tide. They make all kinds of high-quality clothing and activewear, like sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs in towns and cities across the country. And jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. If all that sounds good to you, visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Wednesday night into your Thursday morning here on the program. And while Rory winning the Masters was all the talk of the show Sunday, Monday, it was the feel-good story of the week, maybe the year, we've got to look ahead. We've got another big golf tournament to get to. We've got more winners to hand out, so we're going to head to the Progressive Guest Line, welcoming VSiN senior handicapper Wes Reynolds, because it's time for Wes's winners. Wes, how are you, man? How did you enjoy that Masters weekend?
I did enjoy it. It was probably one of the more exciting golf majors that I've seen pretty much in my lifetime. When you can go back to Tiger in 2019 winning the Masters, you could go back to the Open at Turnberry where 60-year-old Tom Watson looked like he was going to win the Claret Jug, only to lose in a playoff to Stuart Singh. Jack Nicklaus in '86 being the then oldest winner of a major ever at 46 years of age, but certainly exciting. And when everybody was thinking it was over, when Rory kind of took over on Sunday and he got up to a 5-shot lead going to the back nine, we got the Vince Carter gifs all over Twitter. It's over. Like when he did that in the dunk contest, it was like, no, it's not. Something's going to happen here. I just don't know when it's going to happen. Rory plunks it into the water on 13 and then has to survive in a playoff over Justin Rose. But glad to see him get it done. He joined some very exclusive company now as a career Grand Slam winner.
Yeah, 14 years in the making, right? Absolutely incredible. Let's get to the RBC Heritage, because you look at this odds board, and my goodness, Scotty sitting there at plus 360. It's like such a ridiculously short price that it does feel unbettable. So where else do you look in the outright market?
Well, and Scotty could very well do what he did last year. Now, recall he won this last year after he won the Masters, which is very hard to do. So he can always win. I'm not going to go ahead and bet him this week. It won't shock me if he beats us betting against him. But I did look to Colin Morikawa, not too far down the board. Now, not a great price, probably at 10 to 1. I think maybe even less than that at Circa. Disappointing last weekend. He was never really in it. He finished T14, but he was third overall for strokes gained ball striking. And what that means is you take the off the tee numbers plus the approach numbers. And the only two guys that were ahead of him in that category were the two guys in the playoff, Rory and Justin Rose. So he's hitting the ball well. This would be seemingly a perfect course for him. This is a course where you don't have to take driver a lot because you have a lot of dogleg holes, and this is more of a ball striker positional type of golf that Pete Dye on his designs likes to have. So Colin Morikawa is one of my shorter ones. Patrick Cantlay, another guy that's had a lot of success here at Harbor Town, except for the fact he's never won. But his form, third, second, missed the cut one year, third, seventh, and third.
Wow.
So he finished top three 5 times in 7 appearances. So strong record on Pete Dye. And he hadn't won for about 2.5 years. So Morikawa's got a little drought. So does Patrick Cantlay. And one more that has a winless drought because he's never won in America on the PGA Tour, even though he's won 7 times on the DP World Tour. How about Tommy Fleetwood, who was right there greenside to greet Rory McIlroy after Shane Lowry, of course, Rory's true ride or die, gave him the big bear hug. And Lowry I considered this week too, but I went with Fleetwood at a little better number because he's got his own albatross, like his monkey's got to get off his back. With Rory, it was the Grand Slam. With Tommy, it's can I finally win here in America? And he was T21 last week, but he's third strokes gained tee to green behind McIlroy and Patrick Reed, who ended up finishing third overall in the tournament. So good feels about Tommy this week.
You know, what's funny, Wes, is that you sent out a tweet, and I couldn't agree more with it. It was something, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have it in front of me, but it was something along the lines of, look, you and I, we're both Americans, right? Born and raised here in the US of A. That European team, though, when you look at some of those guys and some of the characters on it, it's hard to root against those guys in the Ryder Cup. They are really likable. You mentioned Lowry and Rose and the way they embraced Rory, and they're a likable bunch, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that camaraderie is one of the advantages that Europe has had. Better part of like a quarter century, 25 years, they've been dominating this event. Oh, and it helps that they make big putts in big situations, but I don't want to diss that. But with Rory and Rose and Tommy Fleetwood, Lowry, Hovland, like these are predominantly mostly good guys. And they seem to enjoy each other and have that camaraderie that USA hasn't been able to really put together very often.
Yeah, how about another European? How about the Swede? Really collapsed there on the 17th and 18th on day 4 in Augusta. He's behind Morikawa 12 to 1. I get it. You don't want to, fill up your portfolio with some of the shorter shots. You already have Morikawa at 11 to 1. Ludwig Åberg, the third shot at 12 to 1. But why are you fading Åberg after he had, up until his final 2 holes, a great weekend?
Yeah, Ludwig, God bless him. He was trying to get in the fight, and he got within 1 shot. And I think it might have been, he was just taking some chances late, and it ended up being a triple bogey finish. He ends up out at the top 5. So if you had him for a top 5, that was a very tough beat for you at Augusta last Sunday. But Ludwig can win, I think, almost any week. I think he's that good. And I think he's that talented. I just didn't use him this week because I wonder maybe for him, some guys will have an Augusta hangover and some guys will not. And maybe Ludwig is one of those guys. But you certainly, I think, have to, keep him in mind for future majors, for the PGA, for the U.S. Open, for the Open Championship over in the U.K. later this summer. He's going to be a big factor in these majors for a long time.
Wes, I want to switch over to the NBA with you, get some series prices and plays in. But first, last thing on the RBC Heritage, little game of Would You Rather. I'm going to throw 3 bets out there. You tell me which one you'd rather take. Scotty, top 5, minus 125. Cantlay, top 5, plus 330. Or Cantlay, top 10, plus 150. Would you rather? Which one of those 3?
Yeah, it's the least I think lucrative price, but Patrick Cantlay in top 10 plus 150, and I went conservative on these. I played him top 20 where I had to lay a little juice. I think I laid $1.35, but he's a guy that just is so good on Pete Dyes, and I think even if he's not in his peak form, he should play well. Hopefully there's not bad karma for apparently didn't sign an autograph for a young lad earlier this week. I saw that making the rounds on social media. So hopefully this doesn't mean he's going to shoot like 80 both days. He can't miss the cut anyway. This is no cut event, but I think Cantlay will play very well here.
Yeah, plus 150 to go top 10. Still a better price than Scotty to go top 5, which you're laying 25 cents on.
Right.
All right, Wes, NBA, talk to me about some of these series, man. What are you looking for as they're all ready to get underway starting Saturday?
Yeah, I am on one of the popular ones, and a lot of people have played this. I played the Clippers over the Nuggets at even money. It's about $1.20 right now. Still maybe slightly bettable. You could perhaps wait to trade in and out, though. But I think with the Clippers, they have one of the few guys that can play Jokic straight up, and that's Zubac. Jokic is going to get his, clearly, whoever he plays, he's the best player in the world. But I think Zubac can kind of play him straight up, and he can also make Jokic work a little bit defensively down low. So I like the Clippers in their defense. I think they played probably the best defense of almost anybody down the stretch. So that is one I bet. And then I also bet a series spread price. I might play like a half unit at the plus $3 or north of that with the Detroit Pistons. I think that they're going to take the Knicks 7. I really do. I know that this team is inexperienced, and this is their first playoff experience with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren and this really young team. But I think that they're tough. Like, they're a tough-minded team. They're not going to be scared of this moment, I don't think. And one of the things you worry about with the New York Knicks is Tom Thibodeau, back in his days in Chicago, very good coach, but he rides those starters into the ground. And you just now have Jalen Brunson coming back, from an injury. So he's going to ride these guys, and these young Pistons are hungry. I think that they're going to give the Knicks all they want. And I also think that Magic Celtics series, which is the most lopsided number, I don't think the Celtics are getting a sweep in that series. Ooh. I would take the over 5.5 games, wherever you can find it out there. I think that Magic may take them 6 here. Celtics are going to win the series, and they shoot a bunch of threes and make a bunch of threes, but they're a little bit of a tough matchup because Orlando, while they're not very good at scoring the ball, they're a pretty solid defensive team, and they can keep games close by keeping them low scoring. So I don't think we're getting a Celtics sweep up there in Beantown.
Wow. Wes, that's wild. Over 5.5 games is plus 330. Celtics Magic. If you want to go 5 exactly, it's plus 190. I am with you on the Clippers and on over 5.5 in the Knicks-Pistons series, though. We're in full agreement on those, my man. But I love the bold call on the Celtics and the Magic. How about it? Wes, always great having you on, man. Thanks so much for the time.
You bet, Joe.
Wes Reynolds, VSiN senior handicapper. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Wes Reynolds1. And check out Long Shots, the incredible golf podcast right here at VSiN that Wes co-hosts alongside Kelly Bidlin and Matt Brown. They've had some 2025 thus far. Those 3 don't miss. Coming up next, gonna head on over to the Diamond, some best bets in the MLB for Thursday with our friend from DraftKings Sportsbook, content creator over there, Tanner Kern. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Wednesday night into your Thursday morning here on the program. And with a Thursday MLB slate that starts early in the morning here on the West Coast, takes you to the evening back east. Who better to break down this wide array of games with than our friend from DraftKings Sportsbook, Tanner Kern, joining us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Tanner, how are you, man? Great to have you on.
I'm doing good, Joe. It must be nice to be in Vegas and get some 9 a.m. baseball. Couldn't beat that.
You know, that is the best part. People always ask me biggest differences because, I'm from New York, right? And moved out to Los Angeles 3 years ago, and obviously now doing the LA Vegas thing. And people always ask me biggest difference between West Coast, East Coast. And I'm like, man, waking up to games at 9, 10 a.m., right? You got football 10 a.m. on Sundays. You got baseball games at 9 a.m. It is bizarre. It's great, but I do miss, Tanner, being at a bar on the East Coast at 11 p.m., midnight, and having games on. Because it is weird. All the games are over. 10 o'clock, it seems the latest local time when you're out. There's no late night sports on when you're at a bar out west.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Every time I've been to Vegas, though, it's almost a little overwhelming when you got early baseball on, but it's good. Only problem is I do like that nighttime sweat because you only get the West Coast games when you're out there for the late night. So East Coast has its benefits, but West Coast does as well.
Yeah, it's when I find myself betting on, Ukrainian table tennis. When the games are all off at the bar and I need some action, I'm like, all right, let's see who's playing ping pong right now in what part of the world. Tanner, let's get to some early baseball on Thursday. What do we have, a 9:40 a.m. Pacific time start at Great American? Mariners, Reds, what do you like in that game?
Give me the Nerfy in this one. Mariners and Reds have the perfect Nerfy combination between Brady Singer and Brian Wu on the mound. Wu's 2-1 when it comes to allowing a run in the first inning. Singer has yet to allow a run in the first inning, so hopefully he can keep that going in this one. Both pitchers have been really dominant this season. Wu's 2-0 with the 2.84 ERA. His whip under 1 in 19 innings of work. And then when you look at Singer, 3-0 with a 3.18 ERA and a whip right around 1. Each pitcher has that elite strikeout ability, which is needed for Nerfies in case they get into trouble. So that gives me a little more confidence here as well. And then while the Mariners came out hot tonight offensively, runs were scored in game 1 as well. Both offenses have been relatively tame this season. Seattle and Cincinnati are both tied for 28th in batting average. And the Mariners are a slightly better OBP team, but each pitcher controls the zone here. So I do think runs are going to be hard to come by.
Man, normally when Brian Wu is pitching, the Nerfy is so outrageously priced. I'm hoping because it's at a bandbox in Great American Ballpark, we can get a fair price on this one because like you, I love the Nerfy in that game. Now, you're doing something in this A's-White Sox game that not a lot of people have had the guts to do over the past few years. Tell us what bet you're placing on the Sacramento Athletics.
I hate to do it, but it's a prime run line spot. So I'm going to play Oakland -1.5 or +110. Their money line price is just a little too much for me to pay here, so I am going to take the risk and say they're going to win by 2. The White Sox are a team that they can beat by 2. This is the perfect spot for it. JP Sears is going to take the ball for the Athletics in this game, 4.24 ERA and a 1.18 whip. By the way, it is so weird calling them just the Athletics and not the Oakland Athletics. I kind of miss those days, but I'm excited for them to be the Las Vegas Athletics someday. Davis Martin's going to pitch for Chicago, and he has the same ERA, but a 1.41 whip. Coming off a really good start against Boston, but the Red Sox were not playing well at that time. I still don't think they're playing very well. So Davis Martin should have a little more of a difficult time against Oakland here. The A's put up 12 runs in game 1 of the series. They're top 10 in batting average, 12th in runs. Have not been world beaters by any means, but the White Sox are 29th in runs and average. So I do think the Athletics have the edge here, and they're on the road. They're guaranteed those 9 at bats, so I do like them in the spot.
Tanner, take us to Citizens Bank Ballpark. The Phillies are fading a bit after that incredible start. Now they find themselves 10-8. Again, look, too early to be standings watching. I'm not going to be sounding the alarms on anyone's record yet, but they're certainly trending in the opposite direction from their opponent, San Francisco. Christopher Sanchez on the bump for Philly, opposite Jordan Hicks. What do you like here?
It is really hard to not standings watch at this time. The Phillies are starting to fade a little bit. They're obviously going to figure it out, but they're not playing great baseball. However, I do like runs to be scored in this game. I'm going to take the over of 7.5. I believe this one's going to rise by tomorrow, so make sure you lock it in early. When you look at the Phillies and the Giants, their bats have both been very good in this series, combined for double-digit runs in the first 2 games. So grab the 7.5 run total while it's available. The weaker of the 2 pitchers in this game is Jordan Hicks, 5.87 ERA, 1.37 whip so far this season. Got rocked by the Yankees, didn't pitch well against the Mariners as well in his past 2 starts. Has given up a combined 10 earned runs over his past 2 starts, so something to look for there. Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies has been great in 2 of his past 3 starts, but he has to face a hot Giants offense. San Francisco is hitting the ball, as you attested to earlier. They are 5th in runs scored and 6th in home runs. Not a great OBP team, not a great batting average team, but they are finding the long ball, and that has really helped them so far this season. Sanchez is susceptible to giving up those home runs. I don't think it's going to be a 10-plus run game, but it could easily be 5-4 and get this game over the 7.5 run total.
Tanner, how about the Nationals and Pirates? Obviously an NLCS preview, I would imagine, here between these two teams, bottom dwellers in the National League. What do you like in this game? Trevor Williams opposite Andrew Heaney.
I like the Pirates on the money line here. Really good price of -125. Andrew Heaney has been amazing in his first 18 innings of work this season, and he doesn't have a win to his name just yet, but he has a 3 ERA and a .89 whip. He's allowed 12 hits in 18 innings with 18 strikeouts, just 1 home run in the span. So he's been really good. I think he's going to be good again tomorrow. On the flip side, you got Trevor Williams going for the Nationals. No quality starts in his first 3 games. He's coming off a game where he gave up 6 earned runs in 4.2 innings. He has a 7.36 ERA, a 1.77 whip on the season. Things have not been good for Trevor Williams. Heaney should dominate Williams from a starting pitching perspective. However, this is the tough part. Washington has a big advantage when it comes to offense. They're an average offense, but the Pirates just have not been hitting the baseball so far this season. But when it comes to starting pitching and the bullpen, really does swing me in favor of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Their bullpen ERA is a 3.27, Washington 6.67. Just a really big pitching advantage for them in this game, and I think they're going to find a way to win.
Daniel, I'm going to put you on the spot here quickly, but I mean, it's a team that you know well, so it shouldn't hurt you too much. Your Boston Red Sox. I've been getting into these series prices lately. I wouldn't call it bettable. They're laying $5, -500 against the White Sox for a 3-game set this weekend. Can the Red Sox win 2 out of 3 this time around with Chicago? What do we think? I mean, that was embarrassing last weekend.
You know, obviously for the price, I wouldn't want to pay that, but I do think they can win 2 out of 3. I think they can sweep this entire series because they're the better team. They just got to find themselves a little bit. One thing to know, Alex Bregman on paternity leave, that was something that I thought was going to give them trouble in tonight's game. They obviously found a way to pull through on a David Hamilton home run and a great pitching performance from Sean Newcomb, something I never thought I was going to see. But they found a way to win. And I think the biggest thing from Boston that we're going to have to see this season is how do they bounce back in times of adversity. Look at game 1 of this Tampa Bay Rays series, and they were horrendous. They got dominated, found a way to come back, dominate game 2, and pulled out a tight one in game 3. Early in the season, things did not look well, and then they found a way against the St. Louis Cardinals to come back and put together a great series there. So there's been moments where this team has shined, and it's only April. We can't react too early, but they are a better team than the White Sox in pretty much all facets of the game. They do have some studs going on the mound, which is going to be big for them. And I think they're going to find a way to win the series and hopefully sweep the White Sox, but we'll see. If they can't win the series, there is a massive issue, though. So they're back to 500. They should leave that series well over 500.
Yeah, Tanner, final minute here. How about the Dodgers? They're going to Arlington, taking on the Rangers. LA, -185. Texas, +145. Dodgers in true road games, just 2-4 in the early goings of the year. The Rangers, 8-1 at home. Are they worth a plus money play to win the series against the Dodgers?
It's hard because the Rangers offensively have not been great in high leverage situations. The Dodgers are striking out a lot more than we would have thought so far this season, but they can still hit at any time. I just always have trouble going against the Dodgers in any facet of the game. They're not playing great right now, but they're going to start to figure it out as the season goes on. They have the offense. Pitching has been up and down at times, but I would probably lean towards the Dodgers. Still not going to pay that price just because of how good they are offensively when they are clicking. And Texas has not been the best offensive team at times. And if you're not great on offense, you're going to have a hard time beating the Dodgers, especially when they start to figure it out.
Tanner, as always, fantastic stuff. Thanks so much for hopping on, man. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Our buddy Tanner Kern from over there at DraftKings Sportsbook, content creator. Also catch his work at Forbes. Folks, it's time to unlock your winning edge with an unbeatable offer. Get full Visa and Pro access to everything we do now through August 1st for just $59. Sign up now. That'll save you 50% off the regular monthly price, and that'll include a daily email recapping all the best bets from VSiN hosts and guests, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 video access on the VSiN Watch app, plus full VSiN.com access featuring advanced analytics and pro betting systems. Every sport, every edge, one damn good price. Don't wait. Get full access through August 1st for just $59. VSiN.com/subscribe. It's VSIN.com/subscribe. How about that Friday night matchup in Arlington? DeGrom versus Yamamoto? Sign me up. More picks, more winners, more cashing out with Joe Ceraulo up next.
This country was built on a distinctly American work ethic. But today, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries. And with that, we sent away good jobs and diminished our capability to make things. American Giant is a clothing company that's pushing back against this tide. They make a variety of high-quality clothing and activewear, like sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more. All made right here in the USA, from growing the cotton to adding the final touches. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs for seamsters, cutters, and factory workers in towns and cities across the United States. And it's about more than an income. Jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. If all that sounds good to you, visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you into your Thursday morning here on the program. Got a great day of baseball ahead of us. Games as early as noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, starting as late as 8 Eastern. Dinner time ball. Angels-Rangers, 5 p.m. Pacific, the start time there. We do have some breaking news, though, on the diamond for Thursday. Brian Wu for the Mariners. You just heard our buddy Tanner Kern give out the Nerfy Mariners-Reds, largely because Brian Wu, as I've noted, last year was one of the best Nerfy pitchers in baseball, minus 135. I was going to tail Tanner on that. Boom. Brian Wu, scratched. Emerson Hancock with his 81 ERA. No exaggeration, his ERA is 81. He will get the nod for the Mariners. Great American Ballpark, 12:40 Eastern, 9:40 a.m. Pacific time, opposite Brady Singer. Curious how that has impacted the odds for the Nerfy there. Well, DraftKings is still showing Wu, but Hancock is confirmed. We know this for a fact. I'm surprised DraftKings is taking so long to get there. And yeah, that under that Nerfy at DraftKings actually minus 140. So it's moved in probably the wrong direction. With Wu on the bump, I could see that. With Hancock, let's open up FanDuel and see if you're still interested in taking a chance with Hancock out there. Great American Ballpark on a Nerfy. Let's see what that is on FanDuel. First inning total runs, minus 120. So it was minus 130, 135 at each. FanDuel's gone in the right direction, minus 120. DraftKings has not updated, obviously. Other breaking news we got, my goodness, that commercial break was a busy one. The Sacramento Kings, following the loss, can we call it an embarrassment? The home embarrassment, 4.5-point favorites, lost by 14, and frankly, it wasn't even that close since the first quarter ended. The Kings and GM Monty McNair have mutually agreed to part ways. League sources tell The Athletic. That's per a tweet. Sam Amick over at The Athletic was the first one to break that news. Mutually. It's a fun word. Don't you like that word, mutually? Let's face it, people. We mutually agreed to stop seeing each other. There's always someone who initiates. It's never fully mutual. Maybe you both agree to part ways, but it's never fully mutual. There is always someone, one side, who initiates. And my gut would be telling me that it was the Sacramento Kings who initiated this mutual parting of ways between the team and GM Monty McNair after what was one giant step back as a season for the Kings from what they did a year ago. Impressive year in the 23-24 campaign. Here in 24-25, not so much. You send off a superstar in De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio. You bring in Levine. You bring in DeRozan. Weird year, different team. And the Kings and Monty McNair have parted ways. Well, with that breaking news on the Seattle front with the pitching change, that changes what was going to be one of my best bets. But I've still got a couple for Thursday up my sleeve and one for Friday. So let's dive into it. It's time for the VSiN Daily Morning Bets. Now, admittedly, I was going to start off the morning bets portion of the program with the Nerfy in Cincinnati. I love Brian Wu. Brady Singer's having a great start to the season. I think Singer gets through the top of the first unscathed, which since he didn't do on Wednesday. But with Emerson Hancock and his ERA of 81 now filling in for Wu, even though the price came down 10 cents at FanDuel, it's minus 120, I can't get behind it. I can't do it. But there is an early morning baseball game that I will take the Nerfy on. Give me Nationals, Pirates, minus 30 cents, Nerfy. Now you might say, well, Joe, Trevor Williams is coming into play with an ERA north of 7, and that's true. But the Pirates, through 19 games, have one of the worst offenses in baseball. Happens to be heating up a bit in this series. They've won 2 out of the first 3 against the Nationals. They've put up 16 runs in both of those wins, and they got blanked on the loss. So 16 runs in the series. But they've been blanked 2 out of their last 4. You look at some of their run outputs prior to this series: 0, 2, 3, 2 and a win, 3, 8, 5, 4, 4, 4, 0, 1, 2. I mean, the Pirates offense, they've only eclipsed 4 runs 4 times all year. Now, 2 of them, yes, are in the last 3 games. I understand that. But it is still one of the worst offenses in the league. And Trevor Williams, I know he has struggled this season. He was really good a year ago when the Nationals first acquired him. I have not lost faith in Trevor Williams to go out there and give Washington a respectable start against a weak Pirates lineup. His last start against Miami, it wasn't a good one, but he got through the first inning unscathed. Arizona got to him in the first inning on Sunday, April 6th. On Tuesday, the 1st of April, against Toronto, the Blue Jays waited until the second inning. So he's 2-1 to the Nerfy. And on the other side, you've got Andrew Heaney on the bump for Pittsburgh. He's actually looked pretty good in the early goings of the year. 3 flat ERA. Nationals' top of the lineup is pretty lefty heavy. Advantage Heaney, being a southpaw. Pirates 20-cent favorites in this one. I'm going to go Nerfy, minus 30 cents. Then, my best bet, give me a K-prop. Phillies, Giants, give me Christopher Sanchez over 5.5 strikeouts. Now, shop around, because at DraftKings, this is minus 130 as well. Over at FanDuel and Boyd, minus 115 for over 5.5 Ks, Christopher Sanchez. That's the best bet. That's what we're rolling with. It's a San Francisco Giants lineup that, as great as the Giants have played this year, striking out a ton. 5th most Ks per game in baseball. Now, I know it's early, but they're averaging 9.5 Ks per game. In their last 3, that number is 9.7. And on the road this year, 3rd worst mark in baseball, 10.5 Ks per game away from the Bay Area. At home, they're actually one of the tougher teams to strike out. But on the road, they've been pure strikeout machines. Christopher Sanchez, you look at how he's started the year, and then you look at his splits from a year ago. So far this year, he's made 2 home starts, 7 Ks, 5 1/3 against Colorado, 9 Ks, 5 2/3 against the Dodgers. Had just 3 at St. Louis his last time out. But this is a guy going back to last year who has had wild home road splits, right? So Sanchez, we mentioned, at home this year, in 11 innings of work, he has 16 strikeouts at home. Last year at home, the strikeouts were not otherworldly, 99 in 110 innings, so actually less than a K per inning. But compared to 54 and 71 and 2/3 innings on the road, much better K numbers at home. He also had an ERA at home of 2.2. Last year on the road, it was north of 5. Christopher Sanchez, any way you slice it, is far better at Citizens Bank Park than he is on the road. Give me over 5.5 Ks, minus 115. It's my best bet. And best bets, of course, folks, brought to you by our friends at G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. G-Bank's up in the ante with up to a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First, new customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from the account opening will receive a $250 bonus. Additionally, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within 30 days of the account opening, you'll receive another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. Apply now, vsin.com/gbank. That's vsin.com/gbank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions, of course, apply. One more bet I want to get out in front of. Talked about it a lot during cashing out and could wait until tomorrow's episode to officially give it out. But unlike the price movement against the Bulls, I think this time it's going to favor the Heat, believe it or not, despite being on the road at Atlanta. Give me Miami money line, plus 105. Best price currently floating around out there in Atlanta. Hawks got the better of Miami the first 2 meetings, both by double digits. Hell, try this. All 4 meetings have been decided by double digits. First 2 in Atlanta, last 2 in Miami. Now, I know this one, they're going back to Atlanta. It's the playoffs. Who do you trust more in the playoffs? This Hawks team or an Eric Spoelstra-led squad? Even if Dyson Daniels doesn't let Tyler Hero put up another 38-piece against him, it's Bam, it's Wiggins. Davion Mitchell off the bench was sensational. And as great as a defender as Dyson Daniels is, Trae Young is a freaking liability on defense. Give me the Heat money line, plus 105 in Atlanta, Friday's play-in action. And that'll do it for the VSiN Daily Morning Bets. That'll also do it for this edition of Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo. But folks, the great content at VSiN never ends. How about VSiN by the books? Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. Start your day with them at 7 a.m. Eastern. Followed by a numbers game. Gil Alexander and Kelly Bidlin. Our friends take the airwaves at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then Money Moves, hosted by Stormy Bonantoni at noon Eastern. Special thanks to our sensational producer, Jared Moore, for putting together a hell of a program for us. And the rest of our incredible team on the other side of the glass here, Johnny, Chris, Jarens, couldn't have done it without them. That does it for this episode of Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo. Let's do it again. Domani.